Testing 1, 2, 3. Tuesday, May 28th. Yesterday, it turns out, was a holiday. Memorial Day. Those really aren't supposed to be days you have cookouts, right? I think we used to in Miami growing up. You know, we used to have neighborhood cookouts in our backyard. Strange, huh? How a big family like that, my dad would have all the other people over. Grandparents from both sides of the family. My Nana and Nampa, and paternal grandparents and step-grandmother. Of course, my real grandmother, on my father's side, was in a nursing home for a lot of that. And of course, my maternal grandfather died in 1937. Interesting bit of information. Goo and I say hi on a Tuesday, May 28th. I forgot yesterday. My mom used to tell me when I interviewed her or talked to her, she said that the house we grew up in, that whole area, was only sold to ex-GIs. In 1945, it was built just for GIs from World War II. And everybody that lived down our street was a veteran. Everyone. And I don't remember Mac next door, him talking much. He might have been in the Navy or something. Because he was the guy who was the head bellhop at Fontainebleau Hotel. I guess made a lot of money doing it. At least he could support his wife, and they had one child. In a minute, I'll remember her name. It was a girl. And interesting. Yeah, I forgot yesterday. It's like by 11, 12 o'clock, I was feeling really strange. One of those days. Maybe it's your intestines getting wrapped up in a knot or something. But anyway, this morning, I had an appointment at the doctor's just after 8 o'clock. I think I might have been his second appointment because he was late. And 3 days ago, I went to Publix. It was Monday. I went to Publix Monday, yesterday, to get water while it was on sale. I told you this the other day. It was Monday that I told. No, this is Tuesday. I couldn't have told you that. Must have been Sunday because I didn't do a video yesterday on Memorial Day. But I went Monday to get water. Used to be 3 for $10. Now they're 3 for $11. So they went up 33 and a third cent per case. So when I pulled in Monday, pulled into the Publix, went toward the end of the complex to turn left toward the front of the store, and I ran over something. It felt like a piece of cardboard, like with glue on it, because I felt it rubbing on the tire or something when it would go bunk, ka-bunk, ka-bunk, and I thought, I got a flat tire? Felt like a flat tire is what it felt like. And so I pulled out into the middle of the parking lot, that early. Must have been Sunday. I'd have to go back and look at these videos. Might have been Sunday that I did that. And I pulled into the parking lot. I turned my wheels like all to one side. I knew it was on the right side. And I pulled up a little bit, couldn't see anything. And evidently it was the part of the tire I wasn't even looking at, right? And it still ran when it was driving. I felt like something was stuck to the wheel. It's kind of like when you have something sticking to it, like tick, 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 tick. So today I go out to go to the doctor, and I'm like, usually I get there early and sit in the parking lot. I'm like, I'll just leave like 15 minutes early and get there right, because he's not going to be there like right at 8 o'clock or whatever. So I go out to the car and I pull out into the cement driveway, and I'm looking at the dash, and it's got a low tire pressure warning. Now evidently I can't tell the tire pressure on my tires, so I didn't think my car had tire pressure sensors. Well, it must have a very rudimentary one, because I got a low pressure sensor for the tire. And I was like, what the heck? I didn't, on the truck we had at work, the Ford, you could actually go to the tires and it would show you the tire pressure on each of your 4 tires, right? And that's what I thought tire pressure sensors were. Well, evidently this has just tire pressure sensors that sends a warning when they're below certain amount. So I got the tire pressure warning, and I knew it had to have been the right side. So I go out, and the engine's running, and I got 10 minutes to be at my appointment, and the right front tire is like that far above the ground. Wasn't totally flat, but it was pretty close to it. So I immediately left the car running. I ran back into the house, got my Milwaukee and my Makita battery-powered inflators. Thank goodness I got those, you guys. Those things can save your life, let me tell you. And it took me about 3 minutes, I guess, to fill up the tire. Did it up to 45. It was almost at 0, so it took a little while. And threw that stuff in the trunk, and noticed in the trunk in my basket was a tire plug kit. So I'm like, no problem, no problem. When I was filling it full of air, I noticed on top there was a bolt, like a sheet metal screw from a roofing. It was only about 3/4 of an inch long. So I'm hoping that this gets me there. So I threw both the inflators in the trunk of the car and hauled butt down to the clinic. Thank goodness it's close by. If it was on the north side of town, there's no way I would have gotten there in time. Excuse me, I'm going to have some coffee. I'll be right back. Don't touch your computer or your phone. If I didn't tell you I was pausing it, you'd never know. Because for me it takes time, and for you it's not. That brings up another issue about eternity. I always was under the impression eternity time stopped. Now, let me get back to the story. I'm going to talk for 20 minutes on my tire this morning. Gives me something to talk about, right? Because I know I missed the video yesterday. It's 89 degrees out, by the way, at 11:22 in the morning. So I go to the clinic, and I park at the very bottom, thinking I might have to change the tire or something when I come out. Thank goodness it was only like 80 degrees at 8 in the morning. So I run up the stairs, and then I use the stairs going up to the second floor. And when I got up there, I didn't have to wait too long, because it was literally right at the appointment time. They took me in. My blood pressure was high, and I'm like, well, I just ran up the stairs. So plus I parked way out in the parking lot at the bottom of 3 rows down, so I had to come up once and twice to get to the clinic. The blood pressure was 159 over 79 or something, which for what I had just done was nothing. Normally it's 196 or 204 over 94. That's what it normally is. And being at the doctor's to boot, that they call it the doctor's clinic blood pressure, because it automatically rises when you're in there. And everything at the clinic, maybe a 5-minute appointment, right? Oh, he hands me my blood work, which I already had, and told me that we'll just maintain the status quo. According to the blood work, this is what my doctor said back in the 80s. He said, according to my blood work, I'm going to live forever. Well, I don't want to live forever, by golly. I can't go back home if I live forever. The only way you get to go home. Teresa Lisieux, one of my heroes, at 25 she died. She really looked forward to passing away. And that one morning when she spit up blood in the middle of the night into her hanky, it was too dark to see what was in it. And the next morning when she opened it up, it was full of blood. She was delighted because she knew that it was the beginning of the end for her. The only way she could get closer to Jesus as a nun was to pass on. So you think she would have said, whether I pass on or whether I go, let me do whatever it is in service to you, O Lord my God. I think that's what Augustine said. So at 25, she passes on from tuberculosis, which probably lung cancer. And that was because back then they used to use paraffin and whale oil and olive oil for their lamps. And that stuff smokes like nobody's business. It makes black soot. So you wonder why people didn't live that long. Who's interested, right? People didn't live that long back then. This would have been the late 1800s. That's when she passed on. And why was I even talking about that? Oh, I don't want to live forever. Who in their right mind would want to say, yeah, if you could give me a pill, I could live to be 130. I don't think I'd want to take it. Because for me and for a whole lot of other people, it's literally just going home. And once you're there, there's nothing scary about it. It's all very familiar because you've been there before. When God made you, you were there. Not here on earth. You were up in heaven when He made your soul. And He made it eternal, which is forever, just like the angels. And when the angels broke bad, some of the angels broke bad, you guys. When them angels, when old Lucifer says, who wants to go with me, you guys? We're going to hell. We're going to have a hell of a party. So them angels broke ranks with the good angels and with God, and God had to have a place to put them, see? Because angels He made permanently too, just like people. Our bodies aren't permanent, but our soul is permanent. That means forever and ever. And so He had to make a place to put the angels that refused to serve. No servion is what Lucifer cried out, which means I will not serve. And the rumor was that he had to bow down to the image of Jesus as a human being in a mortal body. And that Lucifer just was aghast that God would be so humble to love His creation to do that. So there was no way Lucifer was going to bow down to the image of Jesus, ever. That's probably why Jesus said, at the name of Jesus, every knee will bow on heaven, on earth, and under the earth. And every tongue shall proclaim that Jesus Christ is Lord. Remember that. Except for Satan. Satan knows he's a savior. Satan knows who he is, but he can't be claimed as Satan's. Satan's the deceiver, and he's hoping Jesus would be his deliverer too, but it's not. Of course, there's those people that think that Satan's going to be delivered to at some point at the end of time. Time for another drink of coffee. We get all uptight because it seems like it's all something unknown. Well, guess what? It's not really that unknown because you've been there before. It's just that you've grown so used to your physical flesh and this world, this physical world, you've completely forgot about it. And so many other things take up brain cells in our brain that kind of squash all those memories to the very back. Sometimes people do have flashbacks and memories. Do you guys ever have them? A flashback of heaven. It happens occasionally. Of course, there's no way to describe what you're looking at because you don't realize that's what it is. Because you can't describe it, period, in human terms. But anyway, who wants to live forever? Put your hand down. Put your hand down. So blood work was fine. Cholesterol, I think I told you, went 250 something to 180, which is the normal range is below 200. So I'm in the normal range. Maintain the status quo, he says. And see you in 3 months. Yeah, I found out too that the last MRI was done under Medicare. And the one before that, I had to pay $700 towards. Because Blue Cross only paid $800 towards it. So it was $1,586 or something for this MRI, the last one, second to the last one. So I'm like, well, let me go see how much, Medicare paid. So I go to my Medicare site, and it tells you how much they pay. And it said, along with the Watson Clinic amount that, take pill. It's 11:30.
Take pill, it's 11:30 a.m.
So yeah, Medicare paid, it says the Medicare approved amount was $386. And everything else was a write-off for them. Isn't that just nuts? They, I guess they have to accept the Medicare approved amount. And I'm hoping that I missed something and I'm going to get a bill or something. But that's where the Blue Cross Plan G falls into line, and that takes up the other 20%. But in this case, I think they accept the Medicare approved amount, period. And how can they do that? How come one time it's $1,600, the next time they accept $400 for the same procedure? That's why Dr. Zappia, when I was going in for the hernia surgery, he's talking to the nurse, and I hear him, he's golfing, and he says, "Is this a Medicare?" And the nurse, while in front of me, I can hear him talking, and she says, "No, this is Blue Cross." He knew that it would be a set amount if it was Medicare, that they would probably lose money. He would get his fee, but I guess the clinic doesn't like doing that, the Medicare approved amount. And so they got more money because it was an insurance company claim instead of Medicare. Because I guess by law they have to accept whatever it is that Medicare pays, period. And that's what they did. So 3 months I see him again. We'll see if we can keep the cholesterol down. I don't know, is it possible to reverse aortic, what do you call it? Aortic hardening of the arteries. If you keep your cholesterol down, I guess it wouldn't get any worse, right? But maybe as things get more flexible, that's what brings about a piece breaking off and then you have a stroke, so blah, blah, blah. We just have to wait and see. But I come out of the clinic. I'm already at the end of my time here. I've talked for 20 minutes on getting a flat tire. I go to the clinic expecting it to be flat, but I know I've got a compressor in the back, and it's only like 2.5 miles to my home. Almost straight down one road. 2, 3, yeah, about 3 miles. Heck, I could walk it, you guys, if I needed to. I thought about taking my truck when the tire was flat, but I haven't driven my truck in over a year and a half, 2 years. It's just sitting there. Really need to consider getting rid of it, you guys. And yeah, it hasn't moved. I've been charging the battery and starting it once in a while. The air conditioner's out of Freon. And so yeah, I wasn't going to risk taking the truck and having it crap out halfway there. Pumped up the tire, drove there, came out, and then surprisingly enough, the tire still had air in it. And I could see the bolt or the hex head sticking out of the tire. So when I got home, I set it up on the ground so that I'd have something to push against. And thank goodness I had a plug kit. It was right along the edge, but not on the sidewall. It was still on the front tread. And I I plugged it with a short plug and it was still leaking. It's actually leaking through the plug. Nuts. Must have been for a different type of tire. So I used one of the longer ones that got more goop on it. And she seems to be holding. Of course, I pumped up all the other tires to 45 psi. It says on them that the max psi is 51, so 45 shouldn't hurt, right? That's what's going on today. Everybody's taking care of yourself. Goo and I says get your rest, stay out of the heat, stay hydrated. And if you're too busy to go to church, if you're too busy to say your prayers, then you're just too busy. At least say your prayers, right? It's okay if you fall asleep saying the Our Father or the Hail Mary or whatever. It's brings a smile to God's face, you know. Even if you just try. See you tomorrow, unless I forget again. Let's get ready. On behalf of Goo. And when his eyes are closed, you can't even see his face. Mr. Pink Ears, Pink Nose, Pink Paws. He almost disappears on that white towel, doesn't he? That's my boy, you know. That's the prettiest cat I have ever seen. Goo Goo. Take care of yourselves, you guys. And with a whole lot of luck and God's help, I'll see you tomorrow. Remember, I love you. And God loves you too.